Well, you better get ready. Bow to the masters. Break it down!
Hey guys, Kyle and Remmy back from the NVL blog. It is our Game of the Week thread. And it's time for two of the biggest games, I know two of the most important games these teams have each season. Ansonia Woodland, we are at top of the hill in Beacon Falls, and Naugatuck Derby. We were going to make a trip to Naugatuck, but gas prices are high these days, so we decided to stay here. We welcome you back. We're all wearing our same clothes because we didn't come back on Wednesday to shoot another video. But two big games of the week. Ansonia Derby, we'll start off with that one. Both these games of the week involve the only two matchups with undefeated teams on both sides. Granted, both 1-0, but still big games here. Ansonia Woodland, a great game last year, a two-day game last year. Hopefully we can finish it in one this time.
Newgate.
Yeah, well, we won't even show the video from that one here. But a big game. Ansonia definitely going to be the favorite here with how well it played against Torrington. Woodland's offense looked better than I think some people, including myself, were expecting. So what's at stake in this game, Rem?
First of all, bragging rights. I mean, obviously, between you and I, between the kids, coaching staffs, obviously, but it's a big game. I mean, simply put, Ansonia comes up here for the second year in a row.
Right.
They obviously lose Dobbs. They had something to prove. I think they proved to the league and everyone in the state that they're for real this year. But this week's a new week, and I think and they're playing a solid Woodland team. So a loss may be in the works. An upset, I'd say, may be in the works for the Chargers.
Yeah, certainly the possibility is there. It's easy to say in hindsight now, but I think Woodland does have a little bit better of a shot than Torrington did, just because of the balance of the offense. But we'll talk about that more in a second. Also at stake here, both of these teams expect to be either at the top or competing for the top of their division. So division tiebreakers might be in play here. With overall record, we've got a bug flying around at Woodland. And playoff points for Woodland, it's big because Ansonia is a class up in M this year for some more points, and both these teams could use this win. You expect a lot of bonus points with each of these teams' future wins this season. So plenty at stake in this one. We go to our players to watch. It goes without saying that Arkell Newsome for Ansonia is going to be the horse again, running outside, doing what he can. But who else do we look for Ansonia?
Well, last week we mentioned a bunch of other guys aside from Arkell, who should have a spectacular game every week. But we mentioned Matos, who unfortunately dropped a couple big passes for the Chargers. Finney on the outside as well. He has some size. And their tight end, Jake LaRova. Last year, LaRova made a big grab here on 3rd and long to keep the drive going for the Chargers and put the game away. But I mean, I'm going with those guys again. I mean, everyone knows Arkell's going to get the ball. If you stop him, someone else needs to make the play. And the guys I just mentioned hopefully make the play for the Chargers and get the win for them.
Yeah, and certainly that's going to be easier said than done to slow down Arkell Newsome, which I wasn't at the game, but I checked out the video, and boy, he is quick, in and out of holes, and he's going to be tough to stop. And for Woodland, everyone knows about Matt Zaccanini. He's going to be the feature back. He had a good game last week with 180 some odd yards, and he's going to be pounding away, but it's going to be tougher to run on a much more stout Ansonia defense. So, players you look for, Tanner Kingsley, can he come back and have another very good game? He was 8 of 11, I think, passing for 130 yards and 3 touchdowns. Can he step it back up? The wide receivers, Anthony Skirpo and Kyle McClintock, both had pretty good games. Both ran, solid routes, making good moves here and there. I think they'll be big. If Woodland is to win this game, they've got to throw the ball, I think, effectively. A good balance between controlling the possession, keeping the ball for more time than Ansonia has it, and throwing the ball. It'll be an important balance there. So, and on defense, got to look out. The linebackers, the entire core returns, so that'll be big in trying, to move laterally and stop Arkell Newsome. So, keys to the game, we just sort of mentioned a couple of them. What are your keys for Ansonia here?
I think number one is going to be intensity. Obviously, going into the Torrington matchup, both teams had and staffs and fan bases had the entire offseason to I guess, but basically, looking forward to such a big game. And obviously, the Torrington staff was a very intense staff. Maybe that hurt them, maybe it didn't. But Ansonia came out on fire, and the kids didn't look too pumped up before the game, but once they started making some hits and things started going sour for Torrington, Ansonia just felt more and more confident. So we'll see if Ansonia comes into this game with that same intensity, and see if whether or not it carries over for them. I think that'll be big. And for Woodland, on the Woodland side, I think Kingsley's going to have to get out of the pocket and make some plays with his arm. I don't know if he's much. I'm not sure if he's much of a runner, but I think if Woodland gets him outside of the tackles, and I think he'll be able to find some holes in that Ansonia secondary, which is the weaker area of the defense. Yeah,
and I would definitely agree with that for Woodland. Getting some pass plays involved here and stretching the field out is going to be big. Ansonia's front seven is very big and very strong. Try to get it behind him, spread those guys out. That could be interesting. The protection and how he rolls out. He's a small lefty. He is going to roll out most of the time, we'd expect. So, we'll see what he can do on that. For Ansonia, you do want to limit the pass. The secondary usually isn't tested too much, and when it is, at least last year it was a little suspect, against Derby and against Naugatuck. So that'll have to be shored up a little this week. Also for Ansonia, do you try to add some dimension to the offense? I think you would start the game with Newsom, but if he has some trouble getting started, do you add some passing game? Do you add something with Lester? We'll see there. And also for Woodland, tackling is going to be big. Against Sacred Heart last week, they let some receivers get out of their grasp, and you cannot do that with Newsom this week, especially if he hits that corner. You got to wrap him up. So that'll be big for Woodland to see what they can limit what Ansonia is taking instead of giving them any more. So here comes our big picks. I mentioned it earlier. Ansonia is the favorite here, and I'm going to pick Ansonia. It's going to be tough to stop Newsom, I think. Between the tough tackling that I saw the other night from Woodland, where they let some receivers get out of their arms, and just Newsom's speed, I think it's going to be tough to stop him. I'm going 35-21 for Ansonia.
Yeah, I have the Chargers winning by almost double the score. I have them winning 40-21. I think if Matos and Finney are able, and Mickey Mason as well, the wideouts, I think if they're able to make a couple plays, maybe a touchdown or two, I think the Chargers do win by the score. Arkell's going to get his. We'll see if Woodland's defense is up to the task, but I think Ansonia has enough with Chudwick back at behind center to throw the Woodland defense off a bit, and have them guessing, as opposed to Torrington having issues with their offense, because obviously they're not as balanced as Ansonia is, and teams like Ansonia, like we saw from Ansonia last week, were just stacking the box. So I think in this game you won't see much of that on both sides of the ball, because both teams are fairly balanced. So I think it'll be interesting, but I have the Chargers 40-21.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit closer than either of the scores we're picking here, but certainly Ansonia's a big favorite. So the other one, Derby at Naugatuck. This one has been an even split over the last 2 years since Derby entered the league, and could be a very interesting matchup here with two offenses that showed a pretty good bit of pop in week one. What's at stake? Do both of these teams, really have what they look like on offense? Against defenses that we're not really sure, what we're putting out. Can they play defense? Derby was fairly good on defense, also Naugatuck, but we'll see against two better offenses here. So keys to the game here in this one, Rem. Obviously, the passing game for Derby is going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, my key, the biggest key is going to be can Naugatuck secondary hang with McMahon and Adante and Krieger throwing the ball. I mean, Derby put on. I mean, there were fireworks in the first half. I mean, Krieger was throwing the ball everywhere. He ended the game, I think, 11 for 12, 298 yards and a couple touchdowns. The problem for Derby, I think, is going to be stopping Naugatuck's run. I mean, they just ground and pound, and with backs like Urison, I mean, Urison looks hurt, he looks hurt every time he gets up from being tackled, but I mean, the kid's a bull, so we'll see if Derby's undersized line is up to the task this week, but I have Derby winning this game. This is the upset pick of the week for me. It's I have Derby going on the road and getting payback for what Naughty did to them last year on their home field, 36-32. And as we all know, Derby upset Naughty a couple years ago when they moved into the NVL.
That's right.
And that was down at Veterans Field.
Yeah, so they'll be returning to there. My keys, Derby's passing accuracy. You got to figure that's the big part of the offense. Krieger is usually a pretty accurate passer. In order to control the ball against a Naugatuck offense that will, use a bit of running, we would think, you've got to make sure you're not stopping the clock with incomplete passes. So a passing accuracy, a big one there. Protection for Krieger, a big one. Naugatuck can get after you. They're physical. on the front seven. They're going to try to get after Krieger. You got to be careful not to over pursue, because Krieger can definitely run out of the pocket. We saw him make some really nice plays the other night against St. Paul. And for Naugatuck, the secondary is going to be huge, as you said, limiting Krieger. The secondary is a part of the defense that took a big hit for Naugatuck with graduation last year. We'll see if they can rebound here against probably the best quarterback they're going to face, at least in the regular season. And then running the ball for Naugatuck, as I said, ball control is going to be big. You want to keep Krieger off the field if you can. They had a 10-minute drive, one report said, up at East Longmeadow the other day. So that'll be
they
huge.
definitely chew clock. Yep. Yeah. And obviously, going back to what you just said, if you can keep Krieger off the field, Krieger and his offense off the field, you have a really good chance at pounding them.
Yeah, so that'll certainly be a key. And Naugatuck's passing, dropping in one every once in a while. I wouldn't want to get into a throwing contest with Krieger, because I think Derby will win if it becomes a shootout like that. But we'll see there. Key players, we mentioned them: Ray Krieger for Derby, Jake Urison for Naugatuck. You also got to throw in Dylan McMahon, very quick junior wide receiver. He can be all over the field for Derby. And for Naugatuck, what can Zach Mercer do at quarterback? He's pretty mobile. He threw a couple touchdown passes at East Longmeadow. Some interesting things going on for both these teams.
Yeah, I think another player that we should mention is Derby running back Tyree Small. I mean, he's coughed up the ball a lot, but I think this is his first or second year playing running back. He used to be a guard on the freshman team, believe it or not.
Jeez.
Decent sized kid, big legs, a workhorse. But I think if Derby, obviously Naugatuck knows Derby's going to come out and try to establish that passing game. But I think if Derby and Coach French can sneak in a couple runs to Small, and Small holds on to the ball, I think Derby will be fine. So he'll definitely be a player to watch.
Yeah, especially if Derby gets up. You wonder if they go to Small to try to run the ball and take some clock off, and Krieger with some quarterback draws and whatnot. And for Naugatuck, also look, Mike Chabelle. Some of these linemen, and Chabelle is a two-way player, a very strong player. He might be a guy to sort of offset between Mercer and Urison. Those would be the two guys, but Chabelle, a very good player in his own right. So Remmy already said he's got Derby. I've got Naugatuck in this game, in a high-scoring game. I've got 41-35. Both the offenses look pretty good. We'll see what these defenses have. My inclination is that Naugatuck has a little bit better of a defense than Derby's, but we'll have to see here. This is the game of the week, really, that I can see going either way, almost a 50-50 split for me.
Yep.
So that is it for our 2 games of the week. Can't promise that we're not going to ride the fence again at sometime this season, but both these games should be excellent. If you're at either, tweet at us, at NVL Football, at Kyle Brennan1. We'll have our live scoreboard up. Make sure you make your picks throughout this week for the regular games and for this game of the week. And we really appreciate it for all of us all of you who keep seeing us at games and not trying to assault us. We appreciate it. But we hope you guys are having some fun here, and we're having fun with these videos too. So make sure to keep visiting the blog, get in the conversation, and hit us up on Twitter at NVL Football. So for Remmy, I am Kyle at Woodland. Take care, guys. Enjoy week 2.